before we go, can it be argued that the CEOs of our big banks and major corporations have the best interests of Australians at heart? Start with the big four banks. Since 2012, the Reserve Bank's cash rate fell from over 4% to almost 0%. But according to the data, the vast majority of these rate cuts weren't passed on to the consumers in full by Westpac, the Commonwealth Bank, NAB or ANZ. Let's take Westpac as an example. Between June 2019 and November 2020, the Reserve Bank cut rates by 1.4%. Westpac only reduced the rates on their mortgages by 0.8% over the same period. In other words, consumers got ripped off. Although the Reserve Bank had lowered rates substantially, the interest rates on consumer mortgages only came down by half as much as the rate cut. This meant the banks got a nice profit boost at the expense of you, the borrower. Well, now the tide has turned. Rates are going up. And when it comes to the latest hikes from the Reserve Bank since May last year, the big four have passed on every rate hike to consumers. Let me again use Westpac as an example. Over the last 9 months, the Reserve Bank has hiked interest rates by around 3.25%. Westpac has passed on every single one of these rate increases in full. And this means that the consumers have copped the full brunt of the Reserve Bank's rate increases, a situation that's plunged hundreds of thousands of mortgage holders into mortgage stress. Meanwhile, the profit margins of the big four have gone up substantially over the last 2 years. The situation gets worse, no better, when it comes to our national carrier Qantas. Qantas raked in at least $1.5 billion in government bailouts and subsidies during the so-called COVID pandemic. Yet Qantas has just posted a $1 billion profit, and they've decided to spend $500 million on a share buyback to prop up the share price, which of course boosts the value of the bonuses to Qantas's senior management. Now, forget creating more Aussie jobs, but forget paying back the money that the airline was given by the taxpayer. Then compare this to Germany's national airline Lufthansa. During the pandemic, the German government lent €1 million to the airline, Lufthansa. As a result, the airline saved more than 100,000 jobs. The airline says it preserved service standards as well. The CEO of Lufthansa even thanked the taxpayer, saying, and I quote, "On behalf of all Lufthansa employees, I'd like to thank the German government and the German taxpayers," unquote. Where is the thank you from the CEO of Qantas? My point? This country has a problem, doesn't it? Hard-working Australian families are being ripped off, the taxpayer is being used, and our politicians are too busy talking about net zero and Albo's Indigenous voice to do anything about it. But they prattle on in ignorance about the cost of living. Who's going to tell the banks and the airlines that they're contributing to the problem much more than they should be?